Take.
D.
I'm Joel.
And I'm Carla.
So we want to welcome you. Our topic for today is finances in marriage. I'll share today's scripture. It is Romans 13:8. It says, "Let no debt remain outstanding except the continuing debt to love one another."
That's right. So today we want to talk to you about finances. And we know how sometimes that's a big, struggle in our relationships. So one of the things that I want to talk about is joint accounts or separate accounts.
Yeah, that's a big topic. When we talk about joint accounts or separate accounts, there's no magic, I don't know, I don't even know what to call it. It's just, there's no perfect solution for that. There's not a distinctive, this is the way you should do it. I think it all depends on the couple. Us, for example, we have joint account because it works for us. It really does work for us. And one of the things that it does, it eliminates that whole your money versus my money or my money versus your money. I don't know. It helps us through that. And when we talk about being one, that is a perfect way to be one.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you both said, oh, we're okay with separate account, that's completely fine. But just a piece of advice, then create a joint account aside from your separate accounts. Just to kind of compromise on you. Maybe all your money that you're chipping in for the bills can go in that joint account, and you still keep your separate account. It's just a recommendation. However you feel in your marriage and how that goes, make sure that you both agree in what will be your choice.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, the whole thing about bills, because one of the things I've heard from some couples is my husband's responsible for the cable bill and the light bill, and I'm responsible for this and that. And I always say why? Why do you have to make such a distinction? No, you are both responsible for any bills in the home. And the good thing about having a joint account is that you kind of you take down the barriers of no, you pay for that and I pay for this. It's more when it gets paid, it gets paid. In our home, really, when we're paying the light bill, I don't know if it's mine or hers because it's in one account. So again, it's not that having the one account is the way to do for everyone, but having a joint account, what it does, it helps. And if you're saying, well, I just don't trust, then the problem is not finances, the problem is trust. So you might want to check on that and make sure that you have conversations within your marriage of why you don't trust to have a joint account.
That's right. And I think that takes us to the next topic is track your spending. And what do we say, what we talk about when we say track your spending? Creating a budget of your spending. And I want my husband to talk a little bit about that because he has a pretty good system. I know he's not going to be able to share too much, but it's so important of tracking our spending.
Yeah, there's some great apps out there that are just really helpful in tracking down your spending. I have this app that I use. So instead of just using our bank account the old school way of having a checkbook, I have this app that it's almost like a checkbook. And what I do is whatever we spend, I incorporate that in this app. And then the app, once I put everything that I need to put in there, you can say how much have I spent in eating out by month. I can do it by month. I can do it by year to compare. And I remember about 3 years ago, I was tracking down, and then I put by month, and what I noticed is that we were spending $900 in eating out.
Yes.
A month.
Yes.
$900. That's 2 car payments.
Yes.
And we just, to some it's well, if you can afford it, do it. But even if you can afford it, why would we even want to spend $900 in eating out when that could be put towards other things? We have, our oldest is now a junior in college, and then our youngest, at some point, she's going to go to college as well. We could have been saving some money instead of spending $900. So just knowing what it did, it created awareness in us and said, you know what? No.
And it was a visual. For me, it was when I used to see that pie chart, and I still see it. It's see this chunk of colors. Like, what is that? I said, oh, that is the spending that we have been doing. And I'm like, oh my God, this is real.
Yeah.
How do we fix it? How do we fix it together to get to a good and stable track?
Yeah. So that budget is very important. We do a yearly budget in our home just so we can understand. You know, there's some realities about budget. So you got to understand there's some things that are going to go on there. And, you know, you can tweak it here and there, but that's some, like, for example, our mortgage, I can't say, I'm going to pay less. Once it's set, right? But there are other things that by working on that budget, what it does, it brings a visual, it brings awareness, and then you can work on, you know, maybe we should spend a little less here, and put more emphasis on this or that. But that has to be done together.
Another thing what are the priorities in the home?
Boy.
And how do we
That's
both
hard.
talk about it together? But we have
My priorities are, I want my shoes.
So we have to talk about those priorities. So we have a little history for ourselves again. From our own experience of what, and it's an example of focusing on the priorities in the home. You want to share?
Well, so at the beginning of our marriage, you know, we were both struggling financially. She had just gotten hired for a new job. I was just coming out of the military, and I was having a hard time finding employment. You know, I know some veterans out there, you can relate to this. It's always hard to transfer our experience from the military and for the civilian world to see the value in that. And so I was having a hard time. And, you know, we just needed to balance our luxuries versus what was needed in the home. And so we noticed that we were paying for cable, yet we couldn't afford cable. So guess what? We needed to get rid of our cable. Did we like it? Yes. But was it really needed? I mean, we needed to balance light bill or groceries or cable. You know, so we got rid of our cable for 2 years. The only channel we watched was Channel 3. We knew like every episode or every show in Channel 3. But it's the only thing we could have. Yeah, it was the reality.
We had to check priority. Do we need cable or do we need light? Do we need cable or do we need food in our refrigerator?
Right.
So, you know, those are the things that, you know, talked about the priority, and we talked about and made that decision together.
Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to talk about is discuss finances, but in a regular basis.
Yeah, you know, there's nothing, nothing that there's something that breaks my heart, and it's when couples don't share what's going on in finances. You know, I think there has to be openness. There has to be a deep level of honesty and integrity within your finances. You know, your spouse shouldn't be finding out last minute of what's going on in the finances. Just be honest with each other. If it's that between both of you, one is spending more than the other, just be honest, be gentle with the other spouse, right? But that spouse is spending a lot, try to understand, because doing finances, it can be very stressful. You know, they've done some study, and finances a lot of times is the number one reason why people get divorced.
It is. And I think, you know, one of the areas that I want to share, why do we say talk about finances in a regular basis, is because, for perfect example, you know, in my job recently, our health insurance changed as a family, and which caused now we receive a lot of medical bills, you know, and those things come unexpectedly because we don't know how much coverage our insurance is going to take, and how much are they going to pay, and how much is going to come out of pockets. So when those bills do come in through our mail, and we were not ready for them, we need to talk about how does this now affect our budget that we already planned for. Because they're coming in, you know, emergencies happen. We don't know when those are going to happen. So when they do happen, we have to create that stability and that rainy funds. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more. Because when they come in, okay, how are we going to handle this? Could we do it? How long can we wait until we can pay this off? So talking regularly about finances, that's communication with each other, can save you a headache of the long run of making those tough decisions when you could have just addressed it before.
Because you're supposed to be there for each other. Don't leave your spouse in an island by themselves. That's just not very helpful. It can create anxiety, depression, and even distant from each other. It creates fights that could be avoided. if you're honest with each other, but also very tender with each other when you're having these conversations about money, that is not a you against me, but more of a we. And we actually talked about this, like, in debt. Like, once you come into the marriage, making sure that, once we're married, her debt becomes my debt as well, and my debt becomes her debt. Now it's our debt. And so we can't, like, throw that back in each other's faces, like, well, that was you before we got married. No, it belongs to both of you. And so it's actually a perfect opportunity for you to connect with each other and have true conversations.
Exactly. And just saying, oh, that's not my responsibility anymore. You have that debt when you came in, before we came into the marriage. I said, let me be honest, that if you really want to be successful in a healthy marriage, when it comes to purchasing homes or renting apartments, now we're in this generation of credit. But not that we had it before, but more now, your credit is a big deal when it comes to purchase. They can't even rent apartments without an actual decent credit. So if you, as a marriage couple, are going to purchase a home or rent an apartment, and one of you has a horrible credit because of your past debt, and you have the mentality of coming into your marriage like that's your debt, you take care of it. Who does it affect? It affects both of you and your family and your children. So thinking about, okay, you came in with this debt. How do we make a plan to remove this debt from you or whoever who has the debt? Because we want to grow as a marriage. We want to grow as a family together. So what's yours is mine, and what's mine is yours.
Yeah, just helping each other out. This is really about teamwork. This is about being one. And helping each other out. When we first got married, Carla's identity was stolen, and so her credit was in really bad shape. Mine was stolen as well, and so our credits were not the best. And you know what? We can't say it with shamefulness. Like, it was just the reality of things. We have bad credit. But we knew that we just couldn't take that as like, well, we just have bad credit, we're going to leave it like that, and that's your problem, or this is my problem, you don't know. We were able to tackle that together.
We created a plan that took us 5 to 7 years, how to eliminate the biggest debt, which was mine, for my identity being stolen, and only certain things were fixed from that identity. Not everyone is helpful. I'm talking about credit card companies helping you with that. So we fixed that. It took my turn to do it, and I fixed my credit, and then it came, time to fix Joel's credit, and we did that together, but we created a plan. One of the other things I also want to say is don't keep financial secrets from each other. It just hurts the marriage at the end of the day. It hurts you. You lose trust in each other because now you have to make these decisions, suddenly, and you had no preparation whatsoever because these financial secrets were kept from your spouse.
And I think that's why it's important that we say that we share with you, or that you understand that yes, it's okay for you to have your own separate accounts, but if you are going to have your separate accounts, this is my own personal belief, and like we said, you have your own marriage, but if you are going to have your separate accounts and you still believe that having separate accounts is the best way to go, like if I have my own separate account, I should be sharing with my wife the codes to that separate account, and she should have access, because what it does, it opens up opportunities for no one to feel like you can hide things within that. I can't tell you how many times I've heard stories of like, man, I didn't even know so and so, and I've been married forever, and I didn't even know they had this account with a little secret stash. And sometimes that secret stash, they use it to indulge in sinful acts that are not helpful or healthy for the marriage.
Yes, and I think with that we want to just prepare for closing, that facing financial challenges and struggles together.
Yeah.
We are not going to have, we're going to have one of those down months or down years that just financially either one person got laid off or however it is it works out, happen in your marriage. How do you face them together? Because let's be real, finances is really hard conversation, and when struggles come financially, we all go crazy. So how do we face those struggles together?
Yeah, it's really just about communication, and we want to encourage you to have those conversations. Difficult, but just to have them. we want to thank you for joining us today. We wish that you have a wonderful day and that you can join us next time. This is on I Take the